Hey YouTubers, welcome back to another episode review of Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 9, Battle of the Bastards. Now, for spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the show or the episode, go watch it right now so we can get started. There's a lot to discuss. Hands down, this is it. This is like the best episode in the season, right? I mean, so far anyway. I don't know how episode 10 is going to be the finale, but right now this is amazing. So we start out right away with Daenerys, picking up from the last episode. She got back to Mereen and the slavers are attacking. And she came in with her dragons and she was telling Tyrion that she will destroy them all. But Tyrion is trying to give them another chance. So they gather up the three main slavers and they met up with Daenerys and Tyrion. And the slavers thought that they could, overpower Daenerys. And they think that they are meeting for Daenerys' surrender. And she's like, no, this is for you. The terms of your surrender. And they're like, ha ha ha, yeah, right. So, finally, I see the dragons in action. Like, I have been waiting all of Game of Thrones to see, what kind of damages can these dragons do. So Daenerys got on a dragon and she just effed up the slavers army. Like, they were flying through it, blowing up ships and burning people like it's nothing. It's like wildfire, but unlimited amount from a dragon. And it was pretty sweet, man. I got excited. Like, I got off out of my bed and I was like, yo, fuck you, shit. Right? That was crazy. And then, they killed off two of the slavers and kept one alive so they could go home and spread the story of the mother of dragons. And the way Grey Worm killed him was fucking badass. He just pulled out a knife, like, one hit, and so he slit like both their throats and they drop and die right away. Now, the next part of the story that got me really excited was when Yara and Theon shows up at Mereen to make a deal with Daenerys. That scene was hot, man. Like, when Daenerys was talking to Yara, I mean, they were flirting, okay? And for some reason, Yara just looks so good in this scene. And I think her and Daenerys would make a great couple. Like, shit, fuck Dario, get the fuck out, Like, Dany and Yara should be together, like, just hot, fucking hot, right? So, Yara wanted to strike an alliance with Daenerys. But the way they was going back and forth, Tyrion has a lot of doubt, right? He was like, But Dany and Yara was like, yeah, I feel you. Yep, I feel you too. Yeah, huh? So I'm like, oh shit. Man, if they ever team up, like, that's perfect. Fuck teaming up. They should get married, But then, man, that was hot. That was like a lesbian dream come true. Well, for me anyway, not to offend anybody. Shit. It's very hot, man. Goddamn. Trying to clear my mind right now. Let me do it real quick. Okay. So, let's get to the real shit. The Battle of the Bastards, right? And before the battle, we had a short scene between Sansa and Jon. So, basically, they're at the War Council, and Sansa was pretty upset at Jon that he didn't even try to ask for her opinion or her tactics in defeating Ramsay Snow, because, like, Sansa, she's been with Ramsay. She was his captive, his wife, or whatever. She would know more, right? So she felt offended by that, and she also told Jon that, Ramsay liked to play with people, and you're not gonna get your little brother Rickon back whatsoever. You might as well just throw that out the window. Don't even have that thought in mind. It's just gonna distract you. It's gonna hurt you. So, sure enough, the next day at the battle, what does Jon do? He got Ramsay let Rickon run right back to Jon, and he's gonna shoot him with an arrow. Sansa told him, "Don't even try to save Rickon. Ramsay is just gonna use him as a chip to lure you in, to make you play his game." So he released Rickon. Rickon was running towards Jon, and Jon, was like, "No, that's my little brother." So he got on his horse, and he was like riding towards Rickon. And sure enough, Rickon died. And now Jon is within archer range. So Jon's army, charged to save Jon now. And guess what? They got massacred, like badly. So this whole battle, and I'm telling you, man, it was one of like the best battle scenes I have ever seen. It's not flashy, it's not crazy, like, well, it wasn't like, off the chain fighting. It was just very realistic and just messy and muddy, because I always thought, like, okay, I get that you're a good fighter, you are a good swordsman or whatever, but even so, in a battle where it's like thousands versus thousands, you're gonna die. And when I watched Jon fight, I'm like, oh man, there's like a few times when I'm like, he's gonna die. Even Tormund, right, Giantsbane, I thought he was gonna die. So in the battlefield, when it gets that messy, it does not matter how good you are. It's just a matter of a whole lot of luck, and as it seems, because you are the commander, then your soldiers are giving their lives to protect you. That's the only reason why you survived for that long. And they showed that very well, But it was crazy. They had cavalry charge, they had infantry fighting, they had like tactics on there, they were using long spears and shields and swords, and at the end I really thought Jon was gonna be a goner, right? But then Sansa came with the Knights from the Vale, and sure enough, they win the day. So the last scene was pretty awesome because Ramsay ran back into Winterfell, and then Jon and the Giant, he followed them and broke, into Winterfell. And I felt so bad when the Giant died. And he was One was his name. He was pretty awesome, and Jon just went nuts on Ramsay. Like, I always thought Ramsay was like, not bad fighting wise, but here he was overpowered, and it wasn't a battle. It was a road on. He just got straight chumped. So Jon just whooped his ass hardcore. And then there was a moment when Jon was beating on Ramsay, bam, 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 right? And then he saw Sansa, and he stopped. So I'm like, oh, come on, just F him up, don't play the nice guy. And then they showed Jon's face, and I'm like, oh, he's not playing the nice guy. It's just that he feels like Sansa should get the last say in Ramsay, because Sansa's been through so much because of Ramsay. He wanted Sansa to get her revenge. And man, the last scene was fucking awesome. So Ramsay had all his hounds, his dogs, right, eating people and all that shit. So now he's tied up in a chair, and then Sansa's letting all the hounds come out, and he was like, "Well, my dogs are loyal to me. They're not gonna eat me." And Sansa's like, "Well, you haven't fed them in 7 days, and you have been feeding them human flesh for a long, long time." So sure enough, the dogs got close to Ramsay, start licking like his blood, and then like bit him, right? I'm like, a lot of times they will show the hounds like, surrounding a person, and then once they start eating them, they'll cut away to another person. No, man, you see the fucking dog just bit his whole jaw off, like, whoo, that was satisfying. But props to the actor that played Ramsay Snow, man. He stayed in his character to the end. Like, even when he was getting beat up by Jon, he had that little smirk on his face, like, I'm sadistic. Like I'm liking this pain. But I think the more significant note is when Sansa is walking away from all of this, and you see her have this little smile, right? Like, oh, it's good to see him get fucked up, you know. And I'm like, oh man. So right now, I'm seeing a lot of the heroes becoming more villainous, or at least a lot more, ambiguous in their morals, and I really like that. I think that's Game of Thrones' strong points. Is to turn somebody good into maybe a tyrant, and turn somebody who you started out hating, and then you end up rooting for at the end. So this episode was perfect. The pacing was great. The battles was so freaking exciting to watch and visceral, and the dialogue was very witty and smart. All the characters was just they stayed in their characters, and a lot of like I wouldn't say surprises as far as character development, but a lot of revelations to the characters, like Sansa becoming full circle and becoming this like strong character in the series now. So really good. I give this episode 5 out of 5 hands down.